welcome to another episode of the Uniben Alumni Series. As you know, on this show, we chat with distinguished alumni of the University of Benin, men and women that passed through the four walls of the University of Benin. And on today's episode, we have a professor at Peace University in the United States and former commissioner for management services in Vernon in New York, United States. She's Dr. Helen Adesuwa Uzamere. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Economics from our university, the University of New York. Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes. Ma'am, I am made to understand that you were born in the United Kingdom. You relocated to Nigeria at a very young age with your family. Can you let us know what was the reason for your family's relocation at that time?
When my parents had me and my brother, they were both students in the UK, and I think they finished what they came here, what they came to the UK to do, and then returned home. So I was a toddler when I went back home, so I don't remember much of
Yeah.
the UK.
Okay. You resumed your tertiary institution at the University of Benin in December 1983 as against September, which was the regular time. And this meant that you had limited courses to pick from at that time. And you settled, I meant to understand that you settled for industrial mathematics.
I did.
Yeah, hoping to switch to accounting, which seemed to be like your preferred course. But as we usually say, Uniben gave you economics. Did all of these have any psychological effects on you? Because going for or preferring accounting, initially getting industrial mathematics, then later settled for economics. Did any of these affect you
Okay.
psychologically?
Not at all. So really, the story is that my father was who wanted me to be an accountant. I had a love for math, and he thought accounting would be the best for him. I'm sure you are familiar with it. Our parents, if you're not a doctor or an engineer, then you are.
Yeah, the
Okay.
professional courses.
Yes, absolutely. So it initially was fantasy. I didn't like that my biology teacher, and so I decided that I was going to stick with math. I was very good in math. My father just naturally thought that meant an accountant. Accounting was the last thing I had on my mind. No disrespect to any accountants out there. So economics was what I wanted to do. I actually thought about computer science when I was at the University of Benin. It was such a foreign subject at the time, and it didn't look like something that I thought I could qualify for. So I went for economics. I loved the statistics part of economics, another math focus. And in order to appease my father, I thought maybe I'll just go for a certification in accounting. But as you probably know, that's not where my path ended up taking me. Psychologically, there was nothing, the only downside to my changing was that I had now missed graduation and, I had missed that track with my peers. So having done it in 1983, I was supposed to have graduated in 1987. But I had one or two things like that were setbacks that ended up playing up with me. So no, there was no psychological impact.
Okay. Talking about your Uniben days, how was Uniben like at that time? I'm talking about the early 1980s, academically and social life. How was Uniben like? For us, we are the young, quite the younger generation, so we have a different story to tell. But your own time, how was Uniben like?
It was fun. I started up as I played volleyball for Uniben, so I was actually deputy captain, and then also captain as a volleyball player. We went to the games. It was fun. We had a whole lot of fun at the time. Very minimal strikes. Weren't too familiar with strikes. It was a very nice community. Very people were very supportive. Were very competitive. Then I had accommodation all throughout. I didn't have to suffer through it because I was in the sports arena. We had a social life where guys used to come and hang out and go on. And, we used to parade ourselves as we had a lot of parties. It was fun. It was just a good balance of everything. I don't have much regrets. In fact, a lot of the friendships I've formed over the years have been from my time at Uniben.
Okay. Talking about fun and events, what can you say was the most, or it is the most memorable for you? And if you look back and said, oh, that particular event, it was maximum fun.
I don't know if I can pinpoint one. I had a group of friends who were a group of, friends that used to go out together. Like I said, the games were one activity where we were on basically let out stress. The miscomic, I don't know whether they still do that in Uniben,
No, no, I'm not sure, but
no, so
yeah.
we had competitions, or people used to compete for various things. So obviously the prettiest person on campus or the most handsome person, on campus. So that was something I always look forward to. Then they will bring, there were shows where they will bring artists to come in and showcase their style. It was just a whole mix of things. At the time, I was asked to enter for Miss Segs, which I, by the way, but it was one of those. We just had a lot of fun. It was just a mix of being competitive in the academics, competitive in sports, and the balance of social life. Very little to complain about.
Okay. Also, what was that one thing that was the most valuable attribute you think that you took from the University of being outside your certification, outside the degree?
I think for me, when I stumbled into, my parents will tell you that I was never consistent when it came to my academics, actually because I didn't make time to study. If I learned anything, it was whatever the teacher told me. I didn't really have the tenacity at the time to sit down through books. Maybe there's a medical condition for it, but for me, it was not always easy to sit down and focus. But then I saw everybody else doing whatever they were supposed to be doing. And it's that quiet competition amongst Nigerians that gets the juices, going. Everyone is striving and for the best. The same things that I've tried to instill in my children, even though they didn't have the luxury, honestly, of growing up in Nigeria. Pretty well that there's a quiet competition. Everyone, you don't necessarily envy the next person. But like our parents used to say, the person have two legs, if they can do this, why can't you do that?
I can't see, yeah.
And I got from growing up in Nigeria. Also, I think the fact that never give up, become my MO. Not giving up, not giving in. In Nigeria, we're very, so um, I just laugh at the times when the power goes out in Nigeria, and we just bring that nonsense and candles and just carry on. We carried on. Well, we didn't complain to anybody with this. It was just, it was just part of life. It was just, I think that's one thing that tenacity, that resilience, that digging in, that never giving up, that never throwing in out. No, those are things that from my time.
Okay. Today you are renowned across the globe for your expertise in computing, information systems, and interestingly, with what I read, you developed interest in computer by seeing a Potla during your NYC days. Can you throw more light on that? How did that come about?
It's very interesting. I did the traditional NYC after I finished my degree at Uniben. I was posted to some remote place, but I had the few connections and they got me into Shell. So I was working in Shell. I actually did not like the job. It was on the track of counting. It was all about paperwork and making sure that our vendors got paid. At the end of the corridor in the building where I worked was an open room. And I was just curious, my office door was a door, pick from that door. And so there will be no reason for me to go down that road. But one thing, my curiosity got the better of me. And I hit the state chicken. It's a plotter. Plotter is basically a high-end printer. So if you're trying to design, which is on so forth, that's what you use a plotter for. And I was just fascinated about this equipment that was just grabbing it and doing all sorts of designs. And then somebody invited me in and said, "Do you want to come design a greeting card?" And I said, "Why not?" And that one, but I was great to share that feedback with my father, who really thought, okay, I was in Shell, I was going to get a nice job in Shell, and it would be fantastic. And so I decided this was where I needed to go, computer science, but I had no idea how I was going to go about that until fast forward a year. My mother had given me a one-way ticket to go explore the country of my birth. She gave me one-way ticket to London. I arrived in London. I got a job with the Internal Revenue Service.
Okay.
Was all out of my knowledge. When somebody ran into me one day and said, the government is paying for people who are non-IT, non-computer to train them. If I wanted to do a degree in artificial intelligence, which is what everybody's using today. And I thought, I have no clues about computer. And they said, that's exactly how we like it. The rest of it.
What year was this from?
This was in 1989.
Oh, okay. You've worked with reputable firms. You've worked with HP, IBM. Currently, you're multitasking. As I can say, you're in the academia, into non-profits. You've been in government as well. Did Uniben play any role in preparing you for these several endeavors?
I think Uniben played a role. Whether I can find a direct correlation or not is something that, it will be difficult for me to say at this one point, but I did my undergrad, right? I've invested in, and that prepared me for what the adult life was going to be like. In Uniben, 5 years of being in Uniben, including the year where I changed, a lot of my contemporaries, so a lot of people who are also doing great things today, right? So some of them went before me, some of them had come after me, but there were people who were sort of people who I also look up to. And I think from that point of view, there were some parts of University of Benin that were not so great that I wish be. But overall, I think it's the ability to drive, to push for excellence. Like I said earlier, never giving in, never giving up. Just keep reaching for the next thing. I think that came from when these are Uniben.
Okay. You just mentioned that there were some parts that were not too pleasant. That was not too good. Yeah, we need to talk about some of these things so that if there are ways we can correct them, if they still exist, we should try to do that. Yeah. So what areas were these?
Yeah, two things jump to mind. One is the court system. There was some of that when I was in University of Benin. Not sure why there's a need for it and why it's still commonplace today. And the other area is just the stress some put through some lecturers who give through. Just whether it's insisting that you buy their handouts, there was something that you could have just done immediately for students. That might take complaints.
Okay. I think for the court issue, I think it was during your time that Professor Grace Alele Williams came, I think before you left. So I think it was 1985. The reports I read that she actually did a lot when it comes to court-related issues. She was able to clamp down on the activities and all that. But going forward, I think presently, I think it's a better environment now. Yeah, it's a better environment now for us. Yeah. In 2020, you were appointed as Commissioner for Management Services in the city of Mount Vernon in New York. How did you receive such opportunity to work in government? Having worked
No,
in private establishments and non-profits, so she was trying to work in government. How did you receive such opportunity?
no, thank you for asking that. It was actually my first time working in government. It was a
Okay.
yeah, that I will rise to commissioner level. I worked for the Criminal Justice Agency, which was under the, if you know, de Blasio, who was the mayor of New York City at the time. I worked under his tenure.
Yeah.
And also worked in the UK in the government space. So, but this was a fantastic position that opened up quite a few doors and interesting opportunities. Um, so yes, I bounced around in a different industry, as you noted.
Yeah.
Private sector, whether it's a Fortune 50, Fortune 100 company, non-profit, academia. I bounced around to many places in the last 3 decades. And this was a child's meeting with the mayor of the town that turned into this opportunity.
Okay. Um, will I be wrong if I say you seem not to have a clear-cut direction during your early stage because of the initial, your father wanted you to study accountancy, you settled for economics, and okay, you actually studied mathematics, industrial mathematics for a year or so, but today you major in computer. What attribute do you think has worked for you that has made you successful and a role model for many young people across the world?
Fantastic question. I think, first of all, I grew up like many of my peers with parents who were fairly strict. I don't think they knew how strict they were. We all wanted to do well, right? And you couldn't complain to anybody else, but everybody else was going to do the same. And it was either, if you said somebody you were reading, he said to somebody, a parent, what do you do now? And they I did read history for school. So what do you want to take that one?
Yeah.
And as a result, nobody wanted to be, the ridicule of the family, in that style. So what I regret about my growing up in this respect, which I changed from my own children, was where parents impose what they want you to be. Instead of allowing you to develop a flair for what you love and then turn that into something else. My father always knew that my father had an engineering background. He was NTA engineer, chief engineer for NTA, and before he became general manager for NTA for many years. He had a technical background. Now, I don't know whether it was something about girls not being in the space, because it was a challenge being a girl in the space, especially in a male-dominated white industry. But yeah, you're right in terms of, did I really know what I wanted? I knew that I loved the sciences. I was very, very good with physics. I don't know what I wanted to do with physics if we didn't have the biology, we might immediately think that I would end up in medical services. So yes, there was that bouncing around in terms of trying to figure out what I good at, and I found it in me.
Okay. What advice do you have for young people who might be in the position you were then, trying to find their feet, trying to find a path for themselves?
Yeah. I will say that they should focus on what they have natural with. A lot of people have natural ability. I think most people, like me, when I was growing up, I met many of my friends and peers who were trying to fit this square peg into a round hole, right? To where I just force something. I have friends who were called to the bar in Nigeria, called to the bar in the UK, and they've gone into the medical space. They just did something at the time that seemed to have pleased our parents. And now they found a love for what they really want. And so if I use my children as an example, my son who is a coach, my daughter who was an engineer. I remember when they were growing up, I said to them, do whatever makes you happy. For my son, it was a little difficult and shit because they had someone who thrived in sports from when he was 3 years old. He didn't really see how he could make that into a career. He has. And my daughter had just had a knack of there. I just wish parents raised us the same way as I raised my children, which is the advice I'll give to young people. What is it that you love? What is it that you're good at? Even if it doesn't translate into engineer, doctor, lawyer, or any of those things, you can find a path and really excel at it. That will be my advice.
Okay. I understand you're into non-profits. Is there any way that there can be an arrangement for alma mater to benefit, the University of Benin, obviously, to benefit from your activities? Is there any arrangement that you think?
I'm not quite sure I understand the question. So the current nonprofit I work for, I am the C-suite, so I'm the chief information officer for the company called an organization called Project Renewal, and our job, is to end the cycle of homelessness in New York.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Okay. Now, on the final note, ma'am, just opposing the educational systems in Nigeria and the US. It is not for comparison. But what areas do you think, because we know obviously that our educational system is quite behind. What areas do you think we should strengthen on? You schooled in Nigeria, you are teaching in the United States now. Yeah. So you obviously have first-hand knowledge about these two systems. What areas do you think we really need to do more?
In Nigeria, I think the reason I'm as successful as I am today, even if I want to give myself that label, is because of the training I had in Nigeria, not the training I had abroad. The rigors that they put us through Nigerians. First of all, we don't get multiple choice questions, where we guess our way through it. We have to write long essays in order to prove that we understand that particular topic and subject. I think the reason why we thrive in diaspora is because of the educational system in Nigeria, because of the hardships that we go through in Nigeria. If there's anything that I would want to change in Nigeria, it's just to make it easy with the strikes, and having less breaks in terms of the flow of the semester or the term. A lot of those interruptions can be very damaging psychologically to the child, especially when they're looking to pursue other opportunities outside of Nigeria. It then becomes hard for them to compete because, their age range and so on don't now fall into place. But the educational system in Nigeria is very thorough. And although we have all the bells and whistles in the US and in the UK, there's nothing I would trade for the Nigerian education. It's interesting that I can put it, because even now when I teach, I shake my head, when I see a lot of students who have been pampered through the system. They don't really want to work. They don't have the same energy as we. They don't have the same drive. We're very driven set of human beings. We're very competitive, very driven. And as a result, we don't come, for example, we don't come abroad to play, right? We let nice weather, in nice social life, and all the noise and all the fanfare in Nigeria to come to different person's countries. So what we do, that's why we have a lot of Nigerians who making they're really exciting.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Ma. It has been wonderful speaking with you for these few minutes. I really appreciate you for creating time to be part of this show. Thank you very much, Ma.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, that's the end that's the end of the interview for today. We'll be speaking with Dr. Helen Adesuwa Uzamere. She's a professor at Pace University in the United States and a former commissioner for management services in Mount Vernon, New York. Continue to subscribe. We'll bring you more exclusive interviews of Uniben alumni. Thank you.